Oh, Goranga.
If it's with some other thing.
Hare Krishna. Audible? Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prashata Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gotase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So topic थोड़ा interesting है. Krishna Prem in Mahabharata, or from Mahabharata. So it's a big topic. I'll make a kind of an introduction today. What do we know about Mahabharata? So let's begin with that. If we have to discuss about something which exemplifies Lord Krishna's affection for devotee, so what incident comes to your mind from Mahabharata? Huh? Saving the Pandavas. What else? वो तो अनेक बार करा. वो तो क्या इंद्र को भी करते हैं प्रभु. We're talking about Lord's great affection for devotees. Which incident will come to your mind? How many of you know something or some more than something about Mahabharata? Okay, let me ask this. How many chapters in Bhagavad Gita? 18? How many days of battlefield of Kurukshetra? How many parvas of Mahabharata? 18 parvas. There are 18 books or 18 chapters, you can call it. Parva means sections, like that. Okay, so what incident, just to tell you a little bit about Mahabharata, is one of the grandest and most vast written literature. We see in Srimad Bhagavatam when Narad came to meet Vyasadeva when he was despondent, he expressed his despondency. So there, Narad actually chastises Vyasadeva. He said, "You have written a great history like Mahabharata, one of the longest texts that he wrote. However, you failed to glorify Krishna enough." So we have certain sections of Mahabharata which we find in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. But when you read Srimad Bhagavatam first canto and those sections which maps with Mahabharata, whatever is given in Bhagavatam is not there in Mahabharata. There are no prayers of Mother Kunti in Mahabharata. There is no prayer of Uttara. And just like when Arjuna comes back, from Dwarka, and that whole that discussion, or when Vidurji comes back to Hastinapur or Indraprastha, the conversation between Yudhishthira Maharaj, Vidurji, none of that is there. Even if it is there, it is very much from the perspective of fruitive activity, karma kanda. And therefore, Srila Nath Muni was little heavy on Srila Vyasadeva. You wrote this all for what purpose? People will not get anything. And what did Vyasadeva said in his defense? He said, I was trying to bridge, a gap, or it was kind of Mahabharata was meant to be a kind of a bridge program where those conditioned living entities were too absorbed in fruitive activities to give them something where slowly and gradually they will understand something about Krishna. So when I went through Mahabharata, if I would not have read Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam prior to reading Mahabharata, I would not have understood anything of Mahabharata. But there's nothing about Krishna. Okay, we know about Krishna. Where the most we know? We know about Krishna in Vrindavan. We know somewhat. You might have read a little bit because that's not much mentioned in Bhagavatam, but a little bit of Mathura Lila. And the majority pastime is of Dwarka because Krishna spent his three-fourth duration of his life in Dwarka. And that has been described in Srimad Bhagavatam also elaborately. So if you talk about Mahabharata, there is not even a single reference of Krishna in Vrindavan. There's not even a single reference. So there's no reference of Krishna in Vrindavan. Where does a pure devotional service comes? So when the topic came, pure devotional service, I was like, let me ask you only, what incident comes to your mind when pure devotional service is highlighted? It is highlighted, no doubt about it. But I'm just kind of, scratch your head a little bit. Rather than I tell it out or spell it out, I just want to a little bit scratch and see if you're able to think. So there is not even a single reference of Vrindavan. Not even the word Vrindavan comes in Mahabharata. The word Vrindavan does not itself come. Maybe sometime later on we'll talk about the chronology of these things, how Mahabharata and Srimad Bhagavatam maps. Then you'll understand Krishna Lila in entirety. Mathura, yes, Mathura do comes. That comes in Adi Parva. And that too also comes only for an instance when Lord Shri Krishna sent Akrura to Yudhishthira, to Dhritarashtra to convey to him that now Yudhishthira Maharaj is more than 18 years of age. Pandavas have been found alive. That accident, Lakshagraha, that accident, so the Pandavas have survived. Arjuna have got married to Draupadi. As per your promise, you have to return the kingdom back to Yudhishthira Maharaj. That is the first reference of Krishna in Mahabharata. Why? Because he was in Mathura, and from there he sent Akrura with a message. And out of the fear of Krishna, the Dhritarashtra, against the will of his son Duryodhan, decided to give away a part of kingdom to Pandavas, and that was Khandava which was a desert area. And that's the story, anyways. Of course, Dwarka definitely comes in Mahabharata because most part of Mahabharata actually begins from Dwarka Lila of Krishna. I'll not go into that chronology at this point of time. We'll stay true to the subject matter. So Dwarka is definitely mentioned. Okay, again, coming back to all of you. What incident comes to your mind? Pure devotional service, or let's say not pure devotional, where Krishna's greatest affection is shown for the devotee. That is exclusively mentioned in Mahabharata. Don't quote anything from Srimad Bhagavatam. That is exclusively mentioned in Mahabharata and only found in Mahabharata, where Krishna's great affection for his devotees is depicted. Draupadi, again, that's a protection, fine. Okay. What else?
Krishna went as a messenger. And
Okay, he sent as a messenger. Well, correct. Vidurani's house. Okay, then he ate the peel. All right. His act of going as a messenger. All right. What else? Krishna
Krishna
becomes a charioteer. All right. Scratch your head. What else? You're getting
became
closer
closer
now.
now.
Yes.
Krishna breaks vow for
Krishna
Krishna
takes
breaks
vow.
vow.
What else? I mean, he's called as Zanchor, what not. What's the big deal if he breaks a vow? Anyways, he hasn't got good names. Yes. What else? What else? Are Baba, he spoke Bhagavad Gita. Where is Bhagavad Gita found? Shrimad Bhagavatam? Where is found? That is one aspect. Out of more than 1 lakh verses, only the 700 verses. And in that 700 verses also, not all 700 verses, but only a. Now imagine what percentage of pure devotional service has been discussed in Mahabharata. Now you can, let's say, divide 700 with 1 lakh. Now you know what percentage it is. Everything else is Karmakanda. Now Bhagavad Gita, that what we read is as it is from Mahabharata. That there Vyasadeva did not anything do because it was spoken by Krishna. And as you know, asked a question, so he couldn't, cover it up, but he presented as it is. So yes, it is Bhagavad Gita. And if you want to talk about from the now, when we want to talk about the bhakti is the point, right? From Mahabharata, that was something the topic. Okay, then we have to see Mahabharata from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna becoming a charioteer. You have to see from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita. Then you understand that. But if you see from the point of view of Mahabharata, because Mahabharata's point of view is not pure devotional service. When you see from the point of view of Mahabharata, then Krishna becoming a charioteer was a condition that Krishna himself imposed. You can have two things. You can have my whole army, or you can have me not fighting the war. Okay, let me ask this question to you. Have you ever wondered why on earth Krishna would say make such a strange proposition? I mean, Arjuna didn't ask, Duryodhana didn't ask. It was Krishna who proposed. Why would Krishna make such a strange proposition? Because he wanted to glorify Arjuna. Okay, so my dear friend, if you wanted to glorify Arjuna, then he killed so many demons while even being in Dwarka. He could have asked Arjuna to come and kill, na? So why he thought of glorifying Arjuna now only? Why not before?
I mean, glorify Arjuna's strength, but Arjuna has made the choice that Krishna is somehow more than whole army. I'm ready to choose Krishna.
Oh, okay, very nice point. Very nice point. Okay, so Prabhu is saying, Arjuna is glorified because he chose Krishna. He had so much faith. All right, all right. But there's a history. Anything else? Why did Krishna make such a strange position? It was a valid point, a very good point. But that was not actually the reason there. But it's a good point. Why would Krishna? Isn't it a little strange? You have two Kshatriyas standing in front of you. Both have come to ask for your help. And they have not said anything. Krishna only said, well, I'll put two conditions. First, you take my Narayani Sena, and you take me, Nihatta. Which was the last demon killed by Krishna? That's a difficult question, I know that. We need to have a very good understanding of Bhagavatam. So, last demon was killed by Krishna. And where was it killed? Huh? Okay, Shankachuda. Shankachuda. Okay, okay. No, 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 no. That was way before. But good guess. So last demon that was killed by Dantavakra, and that was killed at Mathura. This is all after Rajasuya Yagya. Rajasuya Yagya, Shishupal was killed. After that, Salva was killed, his friends. And then the last one among them, all them was Dantavakra. After killing Dantavakra, Krishna took a vow. I will not lift weapon again. Because that was the last demon in his list. This is mentioned by Srila Jiva Goswami and Gopal Champu, and then from there Lord Shri Krishna And this is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam also. From there, Lord Shri Krishna went to Vrindavan. Shri Krishna returned, yes, he returned to Vrindavan and he spent 2 months there. And that's the time for Vrindavan Lila concluded. Anyways, it's a little bit of kind of getting an interest, brainstorming, so you get to know what's going on here. We'll go back to Srimad Bhagavatam. Have it. Take our first canto, 16th chapter, verse number 16. A very beautiful verse which was spoken to Parishad Maharaj when he was on his tour of his kingdom. So let's take a look at it. Very, very beautiful verse. You got it? Yeah. Please repeat. Sadhaya Pashad Sevana Sakhya Dautya. Little loud. Sadhaya Pashad Sevana Sakhya Dautya. Virasananugamana Savana Pranama. स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्तनुजं च विष्णु भक्तिं करोति न प्रतिश्चरणारविन्दे साधाय पाशदसेवनसाख्यदौत्या वीरासनानुगमनस्तवना प्रणामा स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत्प्रणतं च विष्णु भक्तिं करोति अमृतश्चरणारविन्दे which is spoken to Parishad Maharaj, speaking about the special kindness of or mercy of Lord Shri Krishna to his family. In this relation, his grandparents have been addressed, that is Pandavas. Lord Shri Krishna became Sarthi, Sarthaya, Parshad. We can go word to word. So this verse kind of in one way summarizes how Lord Shri Krishna reciprocated or protected Pandavas. I would not like to use the word protected because Krishna is protecting all of us at all times. Even Krishna is protecting Asuras also. If Krishna as a Paramatma doesn't have to function, would the Asuras survive? If Krishna does not provide this sunlight, the water or air to the Asuras, would Asuras survive? So is Krishna protecting everyone? Yes. To say Krishna protecting, well, he's protecting everyone. So what is the question of not protecting devotees? We'll talk about Krishna's special kindness and favor. So this verse summarizes that. So this talks about, in essence, there's a very beautiful verse, a beautiful line. Snigdhishu Pantu Jagat Pranita Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Narvat. In other words, we'll look at the translation verses. Krishna was so malleable to the will of the Pandavas. Now that is a glory of Pandavas. That is where the bhakti comes into picture. Now Krishna is not malleable to our will or to the will of asuras. But does Krishna protect? Yes. But the beauty of this verse is Krishna was so malleable. Malleable means bendable. Whatever way you want, however you want, Krishna is willing to do it. And that examples are given here. Let's take a look at word to word. Sathaya, acceptance of the post of a chariot driver. Pashada, acceptance of the presidency in the assembly of Rajasuya sacrifice. Okay, there's no need for you to repeat. It'll take time, otherwise, I'll read out. Sevana, engaging the mind constantly in the service of the Lord. Sakhya, to think of the Lord as a friend. Dotya, acceptance of the post of a messenger. Virasana, acceptance of the post of a watchman with a drawn sword at night. अनुगमन, फॉलोइंग इन द फुटस्टेप्स. तो यहाँ पे कृष्ण और पांडवों के दोनों की चर्चा की गई है. अनुगमन इज फॉर पांडवस, साख्या इज फॉर पांडवस, Sevana is for Pandavas. Stavana, offering of prayers. Pranaman, offering obeisances. Snigdeshu, now this is the word. Unto them who are malleable to the will of the Lord. This was the word. Pandushu, unto the sons of Pandu. Jagat, the universal. Pranitam, one who is obeyed. Cha, and Vishnu, of Vishnu. Bhaktim, devotion. Karoti, does. Narapati, the king. Charana, Arvinde, unto his lotus feet. Please somebody read the translation. So when Mother Kunti begins her prayers, the very first thing she says, Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishvara Bhakati Param. I'll focus on these two lines. Namaste Purusham Tva Adyam. You are the Purush, Adyam, the original. Ishwar, the word Ishwar means controller. And Prakriti Param, you're beyond the modes of material nature. That personality, look how has he been defined here. He became the gatekeeper. He became the charioteer. He was willing to do anything what Pandavas asked for. So much so, when he would come and meet Pandavas to Yudhishthir, he will offer obeisances. Who? Lord Shri Krishna. And from Arjuna, he would accept embrace. And from Nakul Sahadev, he will receive obeisances. That Supreme Personality of Godhead took off any and every position for the sake of Pandavas. Now, this is a very different attribute of Krishna, which is described in Bhagavad Gita 9th chapter. 9th chapter begins with Guhya Tamam Gyan. Guhya, Guhyatara, and Guhya Tamam, the most confidential. 9th chapter have 34 verses, and the most confidential knowledge begins from the 26th verse. Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. And what is that most confidential knowledge that Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita? Is his and devotees' relationship. How Krishna becomes subservient to his devotees. And it is in that series of verses the famous verse comes, Apichit Suduracharo Bhajate Ma Ananyavad. सुदुराचार चाहे किसी व्यक्ति ने भक्त ने दुराचारी नहीं सुदुराचारी भी हो परंतु वह दृढ़ता के साथ मेरी भक्ति करने में लगा है क्षिप्रम भवति धर्मा आई एम विलिंग टू फॉरगिव हिम and very short span of time he becomes dharmatma again. And not only that, through Arjuna he says, declare Name Bhakta Pranashati. Arjuna, you declare my devotee will not perish. And in that series of verses he says, Samoham Sarva Bhuteshu. I am equal to everyone. However, when it comes to devotees, I Name Dveshti Asti Na Priya. ना ही तो मुझे कोई प्रिय है ना ही कोई मुझे द्वेषी है ना ही मैं किसी के प्रति द्वेष रखता हूं ना ही तो मुझे कोई प्रिय है परंतु मेरे भक्त because they always reside in me therefore I also reside in you. Now with this little bit background, now when you look at all these incidents of Mahabharata, then you will not see diplomacy, then you will see Lord Shri Krishna's love and affection and reciprocation towards his devotees, and among them the best devotees like Pandavas. I'll give you one incident because I don't want to talk stories, but there has to be a philosophical background to look at it. I'll give you one of my favorite passages from Mahabharata. When the war has ended, everything has concluded. The grief period has also ended. That is called as Sri Parva. Everything has ended now. All the bodies have been burnt to ashes, and सबने अंतिम संस्कार कर लिया है. अब बात आती है कि चलो युधिष्ठिर, अब हस्तिनापुर चलो. प्रजा बिना राजा के नहीं रह सकती, अनाथ होती है. And Praja wants Raja. You become a king. And Yudhishthira said no. He said no to Krishna. He said no to Bhima, Arjuna, Nakul, Sahadev, Draupadi, Kunti, Vyasdev. Everyone he said no. And brother said, we are not going to be the king. You have to be the king. We fought battle for you only. We're not going to be the king. They were not fighting over who becomes the king. They were fighting that you only should become a king. Long story short, then Krishna said to Yudhishthira, well, why don't you do one thing? As a service, you accept the kingship, but I promise we'll take you to Bhishma Pitama. And I'm pretty sure your doubts, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was such a great soul and good soul, he was blaming himself for what all happened, although he was not responsible. He was blaming himself for the loss of life that occurred during the war of Kurukshetra. He said, well, all your grief and agony, we will address it by Bhishma Pitama. Let's go to Bhishma. But before that, Praja needs Raja, so don't leave them anath. You come back, accept the kingship, and I promise very next morning we'll leave. Yudhishthira Maharaj, on the request of Lord Shri Krishna, he goes back, he becomes the king, accepts the ceremony. Very next morning, 4:30, without a doubt, he wakes up, goes right to the palace of Krishna. What? प्रभु सुबह हो गई है, चलो अभी. कहाँ चलो? युद्ध भूमि में. कहाँ मिलना है? भीष्म पितामह से मिलना है. So when he entered the chambers of Lord Shri Krishna, there was a pin drop silence. First, Yudhishthira thought Krishna might be sleeping, but he saw the candles and the lights were on. And when he came inside, he saw Krishna sitting in a very erect position, Padmasana, eyes closed, meditating. Yudhishthira was surprised. अरे प्रभु किस पे ध्यान लगा कर बैठे हैं? Every morning we have Prabhu was doing his sadhana. He was sitting straight, and not for 5 minutes, for a good amount of time. Now Yudhishthira, having understanding the etiquette, did not disturb. हम लोग तो डिस्टर्ब कर देते हैं, जब भी जपा चल रहा हो, कभी चल रहा हो, हमें जो भी बोलना होता है. But Yudhishthira did not disturb Krishna until he finished his whatever samadhi he was in. And when Krishna came back to his external consciousness, opened his eyes, Yudhishthira was peacefully sitting waiting for Krishna. And then Yudhishthira Maharaj greeted Krishna, Krishna greeted Yudhishthira, and then Yudhishthira asked, my dear Lord, if you think, not Lord, my dear Krishna, you did not address as Krishna's Lord. My dear Krishna, if you think I'm qualified, can you please let me know on whom everyone meditates? That whom is meditating on whom? On whom everyone meditates, that whom is meditating on whom? My dear Lord, not Lord, sorry, that's my word. He says Krishna. Krishna, on whom are you meditating? Know what Krishna said? Anyone knows the story? Have you heard before? Yes. I'm there, no. You know what did Krishna said? I'm meditating on Bhishma. On whom am I meditating? Bhishma. And then Yudhishthira had tears in his eyes. What an example of great love and affection. Krishna is doing what? He is meditating on Bhishma. We meditate at the lotus feet of Krishna, and Krishna is meditating on Bhishma. And Yudhishthira asked, my dear Lord, why? And Krishna said, because he is constantly absorbed in my thoughts. This is that verse from the 9th chapter. Name drishti asti na priya samam sarvabhuteshu. ना ही तो मैं किसी को अधिक प्रेम करता हूँ, ना ही किसी को द्वेष, परंतु जो भक्त सदैव मेरे पे ध्यान केंद्रित करते हैं, those who always reside in me, I reside in them. They're very dear to me. And like that, he said, I'm meditating on Bhishma Pitama. And then when the sunrise happened, that's the time they left for Kurukshetra again to meet Bhishma Pitama. So to have a discussion on the subject matter, we got to see different anecdotes, stories, incidents in Mahabharata with a right philosophical, eyesight. And that philosophical eyesight will come from Bhagavad Gita. Then you understand what's happening. You cannot understand Mahabharata from the point of view of Mahabharata. What happened when Krishna reached, took all the Pandavas to Bhishma Pitama? That is described, that's a big Parv. The two Parvs, Shanti Parva and Anushasan Parva in Mahabharata, where this discussion between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Bhishma Pitama, which apparently went for 1 month. I'll not go into details of it, but we can go to the 9th chapter and we'll read from the 14th verse onwards. depending on how much time we have. 1.9.14 to 18 verses will read. Very interesting. There are a lot of things that happened. Let's keep those details aside. Bhishma Tava begins to speak to Pandavas. What did Bhishma Pitama say to Pandavas? Let me take out that. First canto, ninth chapter, right? Ah, yeah, ninth. Okay, 14th. No, not the 14th. Let's begin with two verses prior. हाँ 12 से begin करेंगे. Please, we'll recite verse together. One of you read the translation and we'll move forward. अहो कष्टम् अहो अन्यायम् यद्यूयं धर्मनन्दनः जीवितुं नार्हत क्लिष्टम् विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रया. Vishwamitra expresses his shock at a surprise. How is this possible? For all of you to undergo so much kalesha or sufferings in your life. Please read translation. Vishwamitra is expressing shock. You were, those who always abided by dharma, how can you have so much problems? Not only that, he says, next, samsthite tirtha pando pratha bala prajavaduhu yusmat krite bahun klesham prapta tokavati muhu. Translation. What actions? Gambling match and many other things. I mean, Kunti, so much she had to suffer. She suffered after the untimely death of Pandu. And when you all grown up, then she suffered. So many things happened. What happened to the Draupadi? Then you all had to go to Vanvas. So much Kunti had to suffer. And then 14th shloka. सर्वं कालकृतं मन्ये भवतां च यदप्रियं सपालो यद्वशे लोको वायुरिवा घणावलिः. This is all due to inevitable time. Under whose control everyone is in the planet is current. Just as the clouds are carried by the wind. So ये सिर्फ काल चक्र के द्वारा हुआ है. And who controls the काल चक्र? Krishna, which means it has happened by the will of Krishna. Text number 15. यत्र धर्मा सुतो राजा गदपाणिर्वघोदरा कृष्णो स्त्री गांडिवं चापम सुहृत कृष्णस्ततो विपत्. How amazing it is. Please read. प्रभु के होते हुए भी ऐसे कैसे हो सकता है? 16. ना ही अस्य करचिदुराजन् पुमान् विदस्यतं यत् विजिज्ञास्य युक्ता मुह्यन्ति कवयोऽपि हि. Please go ahead. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord, even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively. That we will हम भगवान की इच्छा को नहीं समझ सकते. And the last two shlokas 17 and 18. तस्मादिदं दैवतन्त्रं वैवस्या भरतस्सभा तस्यानुहितो नाथा नाथपाहि प्रजाः प्रभु. O best among the descendants of Bharat, Yudhishthira, I maintain therefore that all this is within the plan of the, ये सिर्फ भगवान की इच्छा से हुआ है. Accept the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. और ये प्रभु की इच्छा है कि आप ही राजा बने, तो you must accept it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. Yudhishthira, you should become the king. Text number 18. We'll pause with that shloka. Esha vai bhagavan sakshat adyo narayana paman मोयन मायया लोकम गुढ़श्चरति वृष्णिषु. और यहाँ पे अब पहली बार भीष्म पितामह डिक्लेयर करते हैं कि कृष्ण ही सर्वश्रेष्ठ भगवान है. This Shri Krishna is no other than the inconceivable original personality of Godhead. He is the first Narayana, the supreme enjoyer, but he is moving amongst the descendants of King Vrishni, just like one of us, and is bewildering us with his self-created energy. Hare Krishna. So like this, when Pandavas reached to Bhishma Pitama expressed his shock, surprise, how Pandavas could face so much challenges, and then he concludes, it is all will of the Lord. And then he concludes with declaring Krishna to be the supreme personality of Godhead. Unless we have this perspective, we cannot understand Mahabharata. Why it is happening, why, why not. Otherwise, in fact, Mahabharata can make you faithless. अगर पांडवों के जीवन में इतना कलेश आ सकता है, वह भी तब जब स्वयं कृष्ण धरती पे थे, वह भी तब जब स्वयं कृष्ण हस्तिनापुर से कुछ किलोमीटर दूर मथुरा में थे, तब पांडवों के जीवन में इतना संकट आ सकता है. अब तो क्या कहना है जब भगवान कहते हैं मया ततम इदम सर्वम जगत अव्यक्त मूर्तिना. कहने को तो मैं हर जगह हूं पर मैं नजर नहीं आता, तो तब क्या कहेंगे जब प्रभु कहने को तो हर जगह नजर आते नहीं. जब नजर आ रहे थे तब तो कुछ हुआ नहीं, और जब नजर नहीं आ रहे तो क्या करेंगे. So there are some perspectives, there are some understanding we have to have it. So long story short, I'm just kind of setting up a scene here. This discussion will take time. Going back again to the first canto, 16th chapter, 16th verse. Why Krishna was so malleable to the will of Pandavas, and which is so much visible across Bhagavad Gita. Krishna, Arjuna asked, my dear Lord, show me your Virat Roop. Krishna showed Virat Roop. My dear Lord, show me your Narayan form. Krishna showed Narayan form. My dear Lord, come back to 200 form. 200 form. ये तो ऐसे लग रहा है रेस्टोरेंट में बैठ के किसी उसको बुला रहे हो, वेटर को, वो चाय लेकर आ, वो कॉफी लेकर आ, आइसक्रीम लेकर आ. Like that Arjuna was saying, na? I mean, Krishna could have paused. Arjuna said, Baba, you come to fight here. Have you come to see what am I? Why are you wasting my time? You went to Indralok 5 years. You went and we arranged for you to go and get higher education. 5 साल का हायर एजुकेशन, और कितना हमने इंतजार करा पांडवों ने तुम्हारे लिए. और हायर एजुकेशन खत्म करने के बाद जब तुम्हारा समय आया जॉब लेने का, अब फिलॉसफी पे चर्चा कर रहे हो. जाओ पहले काम तो करके आओ. यू वांट टू नो अबाउट मी, आई विल टेल यू आफ्टर द वॉर. यू फाइट. यस और नो. आई मीन, इट्स नॉट दैट कृष्ण एंड अर्जुन आर हैविंग अ कन्वर्सेशन बैक इन इंद्रप्रस्थ. महल में बैठे, कोई टेंशन नहीं है, एसी लगा हुआ है, गर्मी कितनी भी हो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. राजा है, खाने की भी चिंता नहीं है, सब कुछ होगा, कोई एंग्जाइटी नहीं है. यू आर इन द मोस्ट एंग्जाइटीफुल सिचुएशन. यू आर राइट इन द मिडल ऑफ द वॉर, एंड वॉर हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड. द conches had been blown. When conches had been blown, which means it's a moment of time when the arrows will come flying. उस बीच में अर्जुन बोलता है, प्रभु मन भरा नहीं, आपने अपने ओपोनेंट्स गिनाए तो सही, बस देखने की भी इच्छा है. अर्जुन की कहानी कहां शुरू हुई थी, मैं युद्ध नहीं लड़ूंगा. अभी क्या कह रहा है, मुझे विराट, उसके विराट रूप देखने से या ना देखने से युद्ध लड़ने ना लड़ने का क्या रिश्ता है. And it is at that point of time when in the 10th chapter, this is 11th chapter, in 10th chapter में अर्जुना ऑलरेडी डिक्लेयर कर चुका है, कृष्णा तुसी ही भगवान हो, परम ब्रह्मा परम धाम पवित्रम इदम, what is that? परम धाम परम ब्रह्मा परम धाम पवित्रम इदम उत्तमम परम भावम. I missed it. Anyone knows the shloka? 10 point. What is this? And point 13. Sorry, I jumbled up with the words here. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. और केवल मैं ही नहीं कह रहा, आहुस्सम ऋषयः सर्वे देवस्य नारदस्तथा सितो देवलो व्यासः स्वयं चैव ब्रवीषि में. केवल वो यही नहीं कह रहा, आप आगे जाओगे ना, अर्जुन क्या कहता है, देख लो पढ़ लो खुद 10:14। अर्जुन क्या कहते हैं? सर्वमेतद्रतं मन्ये यन्मावदसि केशव नाहि ते भगवन् व्यक्तिं विदुदेवान दानवा। प्लीज रीड द ट्रांसलेशन। व्हाट डिड अर्जुन सेड? 10:14 बोलिए, थोड़ा जोर से बोलो भाई।
Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Either the demigods or the whole Lord can understand you.
Arjun said, I accept whatever you have said. And what did Krishna said? Yudhyasva vigata jora. Get up, give up your laziness and fight. Third chapter, 30th verse. That was a conclusion at that time of, and the same conclusion is repeated again in the 8th chapter, 9th chapter, every time it's the same. Arjuna, stand up and fight. 8th chapter, verse number 8.7. Tasmat, what is that? 8.7. Same thing Krishna says there also. Arjuna, get up and fight. If that is a conclusion, तो इसके बाद तो अर्जुन को युद्ध करना चाहिए था ना भाई। तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु माम अनुस्मरा युद्ध च मयि अर्पिता मनोबुद्धिर्मामेव शसि असंशय। तस्मात्, तस्मात् जब भी शब्द आता है भगवती में, तस्मात् मीन देयरफॉर, इट्स अ कंक्लूजन। ये किस चीज का कंक्लूजन था? क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था, आउट ऑफ द 8 क्वेश्चन द लास्ट क्वेश्चन वाज व्हाट शुड बी, व्हाट वन शुड डू एट द टाइम ऑफ डेथ, और हाउ वन शुड रिमेंबर यू। अंतकाले च मामेव बात कर दी गई है। तो कृष्ण कहते हैं ऑल राइट, तस्मात् सर्वेषु कालेषु माम अनुस्मरा युद्धेचा। और अगेन कृष्ण का गेट अप एंड फाइट। तो जब 10 अध्याय के 13वें श्लोक में अर्जुन कहते हैं प्रभु मैं आपकी सब बातों को मानता हूं, तो ये शुरू होना चाहिए था ना। व्हाई देयर इज अ चेंज ऑफ डिस्कशन हियर? अर्जुन कहता है प्रभु थोड़े ऑपलेंस भी दिखा दो, बता दो। कहानी तो वहां से शुरू ही नहीं हुई थी। ऑपलेंस सुनाने के बाद कृष्ण ने कहा देखो मैं तुम्हें तो संक्षिप्त में बताया, मेरे ऑपलेंस अनलिमिटेड है, चलो ठीक है अब युद्ध कर लो। नहीं नहीं नहीं, अब विराट रूप दिखा दो। और विराट रूप देखने की इच्छा उसकी, एक उसका एक इच्छा था कि रोमांच आएगा, और विराट रूप देखने के चक्कर में बेचारा दूसरी बार रोया भगवद गीता में। Second time, 2 times in Bhagavad Gita, you come to know when Arjuna had eyes filled with tears. First, you see in the first chapter, last verse, and second chapter, first verse, and second time you see and when he saw the Virat Roop. अर्जुन इतना भयभीत हो गया और रोने लगा, बोला प्रभु ये हॉरर मूवी बहुत ज्यादा चल गई है, इसको खत्म करो। अरे भाई तो युद्ध कब लड़ेगा? And this is the beauty of relationship. So here Arjuna is not on a human platform. He's totally absorbed in in actually glorifying Krishna. He in fact forgot, why have I come in the battlefield? अब हम बात कर रहे हैं 11वें अध्याय की। इसके बाद कितने अध्याय बचे और? भाई जब तूने बोल दिया कि मैं सब कुछ मानता हूं आपने जो कहा है, आगे तो प्रश्न उत्तर का मतलब ही नहीं होता। अगर प्रश्न उत्तर करना भी था, लेट्स से मैं कुछ चर्चा करता हूं और उस चर्चा से आपके मन में कुछ और संदेह पैदा होते हैं, परंतु आपका जो पहला संशय था क्लियर हो गया ना, उस संशय से जो आपको एक्शन करना है वो एक्शन तो करो यार। पहले दिन की युद्ध के बाद शाम को चर्चा करते हैं ना। कृष्णा इज फॉरगॉटन, देयर इज अ वॉर, अर्जुन हैज फॉरगॉटन, एंड बोथ ऑफ देम आर इन ट्रांस, एंड बोथ ऑफ देम आर डिस्कसिंग, एंड कृष्णा इज आल्सो in full form, 12th chapter. Again, Krishna is talking about the last 8 verses. Krishna is talking about what are the qualities of Vaishnava that pleases me. There's only one quality that should please Krishna right now. Arjuna should pick up Gandhi Babu and fight. You know? So, anyways. So, like that, so kind of a thing here. We see that in Bhagavad Gita. So, coming back to the 16th chapter, 16th verse, why was Krishna so malleable to the will of Pandavas? Prabhupada writes in the purport, because Pandavas were malleable to the will of Krishna. You can read that. Why? This is what the malleable we're talking about, right? I came to Bhagavad Gita to talk about how Krishna was flexible. You know, I mean, Krishna, the supreme leader, the supreme person, can he be distracted easily? But doesn't he seem distracted in the course of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita began with should I fight or not fight? Yes or no? Why we are having discussion on Jnana Yoga 13 to 18? From one point of view, you can say Krishna is distracted. Krishna is not distracted. He is following through with the will of Arjuna. Arjuna wants to know more about the glories of the Lord. Krishna saying Tathastu. Arjuna doesn't want to fight right now. Krishna said, Tathastu. But what does Krishna want? He wants him to fight. And that is what Bhagavad Gita concludes. So Prabhupada says, why Krishna behaved like this to the Pandavas, which is so amazing and so surprising. Therefore, we started with saying that if we say Krishna protected Draupadi, well, my dear friends, Krishna is protecting you, I, me, everyone. Even the birds, beasts, even those people who do not believe in Krishna. Who gives the strength and intelligence to those who criticize Krishna? The Lord only. So are the Lord not protecting? So the relationship between the Lord and devotee is not limited to protection. The relationship is, which is exemplified by the life of Pandavas, is Lord is willing to do anything for the Pandavas. And the Pandavas willing to follow anything that Krishna wants them to do. And for that reason, I referred Bhishma Pitama's statement, where Bhishma Pitama said, yeah, how surprising. Krishna is standing by your side, but yet you suffered. Why did you suffer? Because Krishna wanted. Because Krishna wanted, therefore Pandavas tolerated the suffering. They did not ever went and asked Krishna, प्रभु आपके होते हुए क्या चल रहा है जीवन में? Yes, not even once. I was really looking for such kind of statement in Mahabharata. I tried looking, couldn't find, not even once. And therefore Prabhupada says in 16 chapter 16 verse, why Krishna was so malleable to Pandavas? Pandavas were malleable to Krishna's will. Whatever Krishna wanted them, they were willing to do. So whatever Pandavas wanted, Krishna was willing to do. So this is, I could say, one of the perspective that I can bring forward to you of Mahabharata. All right. So it's around 8:10, 8:11. I'll pause here. These are some quick thoughts. It's a big subject matter. We'll continue this discussion in future sessions or meetings. I'll go more in depth about Mahabharata and then we'll look into it. Any clarification? Okay, just let me, because I just went through, let me just put it everything in context, summarize. So तुम लोग को at least कुछ तो पता चलेगा कुछ चर्चा हुई है. Because I took you on a journey here and there, here, there. So let me see if even I can recall what did we discuss. So where did we started with? Yeah, so first of all, I clarified Mahabharata. Mahabharata does not speak. The focus is not pure devotion. And the focus of pure devotion in Mahabharata is only found in 700 verses. That is Bhagavad Gita. So my first question to all of you was, where does this bhakti get highlighted in Mahabharata? So some of you said Draupadi was protected, Pandavas were protected. I said no. Arjuna was protected. No. And I clarified that. Bhakti is presented in Mahabharata through Bhagavad Gita. So if you want to understand Mahabharata, you have to understand from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita. Then only you see bhakti. Like an incident of Bhishma Pitama and Krishna. Krishna meditating on Bhishma Pitama. Whereas Bhishma Pitama meditating on Krishna. And I quoted the 9th chapter last set of verses. This is the most confidential knowledge of relationship between the Lord and his devotees. So we began clarified that if you want to understand any episodes from Mahabharata like that. And then I kind of during the course I quoted. Let's take a look at one verse which summarizes how Krishna was always by the side of Pandavas. So we quoted a Sathaya Parshada, this 16th chapter, 16th verse from first canto. And there I raised a question. Why Krishna was willing to do anything and everything for Pandavas? And that's the time I raised a question. Isn't that amazing when Duryodhana and Arjuna went, Krishna said, I'll give you my army and I will not fight. And I raised a question. There are many things like this that comes in Mahabharata, which seems so strange. Why would do like this? And to help you understand that how, कहते हैं Krishna was by the side of Pandavas, yet Pandavas had to suffer so much. And then I brought that discussion from Bhishma Pitama's conversation. And Bhishma Pitama concluded because that was the will of the Lord. So यार भगवान के होते हुए भी इतनी suffering. And in that situation I brought the point that why Prabhupada says, what is the Prabhupada's reasoning? Why Krishna was so malleable to Pandavas? Because Pandavas were malleable to Krishna's will. Now, how much Krishna was malleable to Pandava? I brought it in Bhagavad Gita. Then I help you understand. अरे युद्ध का समय है. जब 10वें अध्याय में अर्जुन ने डिक्लेयर कर दिया कि प्रभु मैं जानता हूँ आप प्रभु हैं, मैं घोषणा करता हूँ और मैं अब स्वीकार भी करता हूँ जो भी आपने कहा है सब मैं करूंगा, तो भगवान पहले ही एक अध्याय पहले कह चुके हैं तस्मा सर्वेशु कालेशु माम अनुस्मर युद्ध, अर्जुन युद्ध करो। तो अर्जुन को तो युद्ध करना चाहिए था ना। फिर अर्जुन कहता है विराट रूप दिखाओ, प्रभु कहते हैं ऑल राइट। इतना सरेंडर प्रभु का अपने भक्त के लिए, just because Pandavas were so much surrendered to Krishna. And that is again a verdict of Bhagavad Gita. Which shloka in Bhagavad Gita says, as you approach Krishna, Krishna reciprocates. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajami. So now when you see all of these things from the point of view of Bhagavad Gita, it makes so much sense. And it makes sense there's only pure devotion, nothing else, in the life of Pandavas towards Krishna and Krishna's love and affection towards Pandava. Hare Krishna. So we'll pause here. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
So much like, impressed with the other things. So much extreme situation was when I was little something for okay. So got it.
Even Krishna was not happy. When Pandavas went to one, the first one they went to Kamyaka one, and right after 4 days, Krishna came to meet Pandavas in the forest. And same question Draupadi asked, my dear Lord, how can I go through so much when you are present? And Krishna walked straight to Yudhishthira and chastised Yudhishthira. It is your fault. How can you engage in gambling match without my permission? Or without, he didn't say permission because Yudhishthira in that social order is elder. How can you do that without taking, mean confidence? And that's the time Krishna says, Yudhishthira, even as great as you, if they engage in sinful activity, even they would lose their common sense. And that's what happened to Yudhishthira Maharaj. And of course, I would not prefer to blame Yudhishthira Maharaj, but when you're into a situation and then when you've lost everything, gambling match is very risky. When you lost everything and then you're tempted, just one last chance. If you just win this last chance, you'll win everything. Isn't that sounds so amazing? If the opponent says, when you've lost everything in a gambling match to an opponent, then the opponent says, well, I'm willing to give everything back to you if you win the next chance. What would you do? और यही सोचोगे जब मैं सब कुछ लुटा ही चुका हूं, एक बार खेल लेता हूं। तो शकुनी ने बोला भाई तेरे पे बचा है क्या लगाने को? अब तेरे पे कुछ ना राज्य बचा है ना धन संपत्ति बची है। अब तेरे पे सिर्फ एक चीज बचा है, अपना भाई सहदेव को लगाओ। They were shocked. Everyone was shocked. It was an extreme situation. It's not an easy situation. And Yudhishthira looked at everyone and everyone confused. It's a very important point. I'll end it with this. You can take it as a market for your whole life. It will come very handy for your protection in spiritual life. A satsangha or a polluted environment is so dangerous. Even the best of the people get contaminated. It was a very polluted environment. What was going on there? It was asatsanga. And in that, even Yudhishthira has lost his good sense. And a similar example you see then in the fourth canto in Daksha's Yajna. Yajna, the first Yajna of the universe is about to happen. Brahma, Shiva, Devatas, and best of the sages are present. What happened there? Curses. एक दूसरे को माँ बहन की गालियां चल रही थी वहां पर. Everyone lost. Bhrigu Muni lost his sense. Bhrigu, he lost. He lost his mustache later on because of that. Why? Just because one person created a polluted environment. Therefore, is mentioned. Either you should have the strength to change that or walk away. But if you stay there, वैष्णव अपराध में आती है, नेक्स्ट डिवोशन में चर्चा की है. तीन चीज कर सकते हो जो वैष्णव निंदा चल रही है. या तो you counter and establish the situation position of a Vaishnava. Second, either you cut the tongue of that fellow who is criticizing. Third, थर्ड, either you commit suicide, मैंने क्या सुन लिया, और चौथा, walk away, इससे पहले कि तुम सुनो. But if you have stayed there, you will become contaminated. दक्षा की सभा में ऐसी हुआ था, and same thing happened in दक्षा की सभा, दक्षा की यज्ञ में ऐसा हुआ था, same thing happened in हस्तिनापुर की सभा में. So Krishna said, it's your fault. That was not the will of the Lord. Who made a choice? Yudhishthira. After losing everyone, he lost himself. So when Draupadi came, when she was dragged to the assembly, she went to Bhishma Pitama. She went to Dronacharya. They said, what can we do? Yudhishthira cannot put you on bet. After he lost himself, he has no influence on you. But he still do it. Even Bhishma Pitama blamed Yudhishthira. Go and talk to your husband. He has to answer this. The same thing Krishna came and told Yudhishthira, you have to be blamed for your action. Okay. So that we cannot call as the will of the Lord. All right. So Yudhishthira is mistaken there. Fine.
Actually, in today's world like non-devotees, like we go for job.
See, I cannot call that asasanga. There is a talk of sense gratification. Okay, that is asasanga. But asasanga is when there is ninda of Vaishnavas. There is no dangerous situation like that. उससे ज़्यादा भयानक जगह कोई नहीं है. That's what happened in this sabha. हस्तिनापुर की gambling match में. Pandavas were insulted. And that same thing happened in Daksha's yajna. Lord Shiva was insulted. इससे बड़ा असंगा कोई नहीं हो सकता. So what you face when you go to office is a challenge with your own sense control. तो वहां पे आपका पतन होना नहीं होना वो आपकी आध्यात्मिक शक्ति के ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. पर ऐसे असत्संग में होना, पतन होना निश्चित है. वहां कोई दो राय नहीं है. ये मत सोचो मैं बैठ के सुन लूंगा सब कुछ हो जाएगा. नहीं, पतन होना निश्चित है. There was only one person who left that assembly. Do you know that who left that assembly? Vidurji left. Therefore, if you see from the whole Kauravas, who survived? Because Krishna said, whoever was present in that assembly, everyone has to die. Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya. Vidura said, ये क्या चल रहा है, मैं जा रहा हूं यहाँ से. That's asasanga. उससे ज्यादा कुछ बुरा संग नहीं हो सकता. बाकी जो हम बाहर जाते हैं वो सब हमारा सेंसेस के लिए थोड़ा टेम्पटिंग हो जाता है, वो अलग चीज है. दैट इज ऑल्सो असत्संगा. बट दिस इज असत्संगा, वेरी डेंजरस. हमें कभी भी ऐसे किसी वातावरण में नहीं रहना जहां वैष्णवों की निंदा हो किसी भी स्थिति में. हाँ, हो सकता है हमारे वरिष्ठ हमारा मार्गदर्शन करने के लिए, हमारी सुरक्षा के लिए हमें कुछ बताएं कि ऐसे ऐसे भक्तों से सावधान हो, वो अलग चीज है. पर इन जनरल वी शुड नॉट बी डिवोटीज आर ऑफेंडेड. ओके, it's time for your office and time for my lecture to hear. Prabhupada lecture will close here. Hare Krishna. तुम लोग बड़े गंभीर चिंता में लग रहे हो. कुछ समझ आया या सब बाउंसर गया है? I mean, I don't know any one of you. I don't know what's your practice and level of understanding. इससे मैंने थोड़ा भगवद गीता सेंट्रिक रखा. बाकी कुछ तो समझ आएगा. Okay? Hare Krishna.